Hey, it's Mike Brennan, and we're doing another segment of MITech TV. Today is October 4th, and the show today is about autos. Not the typical show we do about autos. This is more of an auto tech show, and it's going to be looking at a lot of things going on with autonomous vehicle technology, connected technology, as well as some the CO2 non-emitting technology, as in hydrogen. And so let me put my glasses back on because being old, my eyes aren't as good as they once were. John Jin, co-founder and CEO of Lunewave. Welcome to the show, John.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity, Mike. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. So radar has been around for a long time, but you're doing something different with radar, right?
Yeah, radar is a great technology, one of the sensor modality that works very well in poor weather condition. It's been around for a long time across different industries. For automotive, it's been a critical part of sensing since the late 90s. I think the biggest challenge with today's radar really twofold. One of them is very poor angular resolution, and put it in plain English, it just means today's radar on the market can't really see things very clearly. So I have really poor eyesight. So if you take out my contact lens, I get behind the steering wheel. That's today's radar. So everything. The second, the second problem perhaps is just as important, is that all of the global tier one suppliers who have done a great job mass producing radar sensors, but everybody is using what's called a planar phased array antenna technology. What that really translates to, for again, plain English, is that creates a tunnel vision for today's radar. So right in front of today's radar, maybe 10, 15 degrees, you get the distance and the resolution that's intended. But as soon as you move outside of that field of view, 10, 15 degrees, the distance detection as well as angular resolution gets significantly worse. So from an OEM standpoint, automaker, because of the tunnel vision, limited field of view, it requires up to 16 to 20 radar sensors, depends on the level of autonomy, to be able to see the world around the vehicle.
Okay, and so let's back up a little bit. And Lunewave is, where are you guys located, by the way?
We're headquartered in Tucson, Arizona, with a satellite office in Silicon Valley and Boston. We are looking to expand into Detroit and Germany next year.
Okay, well, those two hot markets. We're still the brains of the auto industry here in Detroit. And so, according to my notes here, Lunewave can replace up to 20 traditional sensors. Talk about that.
Yeah, so like I said, I think what we're addressing are really two biggest problems on the market today. One is that poor angular resolution, so clarity. The second one, which really is our ability to utilize what I'm holding in my hand, is really the secret sauce, if you will. It's a Luneburg antenna. Many of the journalists is calling it a Death Star. So smaller than the size of a golf ball and spherical in nature, a proven technology for quite a few decades, utilized by the military, but our company is the only company in the world that has the ability to design and also mass produce millimeter wave strength antenna. And using this antenna technology, we're building out, and I'm holding in my hand is a prototype of our high imaging radar. It's meant to be mounted on behind the front bumper, back bumper, side of the vehicle, corner of the vehicle. Because the spherical nature of our antenna, we have the ability to essentially capture a very wide field of view, and most importantly, consistent performance across that wide field of view. So this is the reason that with 2 to 4 of our radar sensors, potentially less, we have the ability to replace up to 16 to 20 traditional radar sensors.
Interesting. Okay. I got to admit that I know a lot about cars in general and technology. I'm an old gearhead. Way back when I was a younger man, I wrote about autos for the Detroit Free Press. But some of this newer stuff, I'm still kind of coming up to speed on, but with the various technologies like we were talking about here today. And it looks like, there he is. My co-host, Matt Roush, has joined us.
Finally got the computer to work.
Yeah, well, we also have a difficulty. Facebook is down today. So while we are live, we are not live to the world, just to our own little intranet here.
Okay.
So I've gone through the first two questions, Matt. I'm talking to John Chin. And so why don't you go into the understanding the radar and 3D printed and all that stuff?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the radar. I understand 3D printing is used in its manufacturing, so I was just wondering what advantage that gives you.
Yeah, so I think the component that's 3D printed is what I'm holding in my hand. It's the Luneburg antenna. It's the millimeter wave spherical shaped Luneburg antenna. This antenna itself is a proven technology for quite a few decades in the military, but it's in the really the sub 6 gigahertz. So for millimeter wave radar, you require 76 to 81 gigahertz, potentially higher. And the size of this antenna, which we are the only company that has the ability to design and also mass produce, is smaller than the size of a golf ball, but there are more than 6,500 uniquely designed chambers in this antenna. And in this particular case, it is perfect for 3D printing. So the antenna itself is 3D printed around, along with a few of the surrounding components. Because the complexity and also the very little material it requires and small volume, 3D printing and mass production is actually the only way to produce these antennas, but also a very cost-effective way. A single one of our commercial grade 3D printer essentially has the ability to produce more than 350,000 of these units in 1 year. So scaling is linear. So if we need 3.5 million of these antennas, we just purchase 10 units of the commercial printer. So
it is amazing how Industry 4.0 is really changing everything right now. I mean, you're a good example of that. And we're trying to delve more deeply into Industry 4.0 because here in Michigan, the big OEMs are doing it. Maybe the tier ones are doing it. Boy, you get below that level. And a lot of them a lot of suppliers just aren't plugged into this sort of stuff. But one of the things that Matt and I have discovered over COVID is we have heard from a lot of people that were buying stuff in China and they were paying certain high prices and it was taking forever to get the products. Well, when that kind of ended because of COVID, a lot of people have moved into 3D printing and gone, oh my gosh, it's so much less and I can get it right away, right? Really a good advantage, right?
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of things I also want to mention. I think when you talk to a traditional manufacturer or the automaker, two questions I always get. One is durability. You 3D print, is it going to be durable for automakers? And I'm happy to say that with a collaboration of a couple of global OEMs and also tier ones, we've successfully completed our automotive qualifications. So thermal shocking, vibration, 5-year, 10-year aging test. So that is, it was a big milestone in the last few years. The second thing also we get a lot is volume, and which is something I addressed a couple of minutes ago. Because of the complexity, but most importantly, small amount of material and volume it requires, 3D printing is actually faster than your traditional manufacturing process. And of course, I do want to mention, it's not your question, but yes, we're bringing a new technology. We're very confident in our innovation, but our business model is in collaboration with global tier one suppliers as our joint production partner and to address the needs of global OEMs.
Matt?
All right, so tell us a little bit about the investors in the company. And also who your customers are at this point, if you can name any of them.
Sure. Investors were currently backed by about 12 institutional VCs. And the last couple of rounds, the lead investor was FMC. They're based in Texas. A tremendous partner. Mark Norman was the managing partner who was on my board. Like I said, led the last couple of rounds. And then we also are backed by 4 additional strategic investors, including BMW, Shanghai Automotive, Proeza Venture, as well as Baidu Venture. I am in the process of preparing for our next round of fundraising late Q4 of this year into Q1 of next year. Fully expecting to onboard a couple of more strategic investors, including a global tier one supplier as well, who's going to be our partner, production partner, one of.
And you were mentioning Matt was on the call because he has computer issues from time to time. That one of the locations you're thinking about establishing another presence in is Detroit. Is that still how far along is that?
Yeah, so I think we've sort of scoped out the locations, as you know. I mean, that's one of the most important places in North America if you want to get into the auto business. I personally travel there probably 80% of the time between there and Silicon Valley. So I think as we're deepening our relationship with OEs and also tier ones, we need to have application engineers to be on the ground to do support further testing and address some of the SOPs.
Yeah, I can recommend Ann Arbor where I'm at. There's a whole lot of activity going on here in R&D in Ann Arbor. You got the big Toyota Research Center, about 10 miles south of town, and you can't hardly throw a dead cat around here without hitting an R&D center. They're just everywhere. So Matt has rejoined us, who continues to have computer problems. What you got there, Matt?
Okay. Well, I just wanted to know, what you see as the application of this kind of advanced radar. What do you see as future applications of it?
Yeah, I mean, I when I talk to people, I think I like to leave out the technical jargon. We can certainly dive deep. There are a lot of acronyms, a lot of technology behind it. But to be honest, it's really, for our radar technology, high imaging radar, it's our ability to provide for automakers to mount these sensors around the vehicle as the eyes of the vehicle. So in terms of application, we're building the eyes of the vehicle, regardless if it's level 2 ADAS all the way to L5 self-driving cars. It's about how far you can see, distance, which we get 350 meters plus, which is about 50% more, 30 to 50% more than the traditional radar. And it's also about clarity. Again, eyes the vehicle. How clear can you see? We bring 0.5 degree angular resolution. That's about 5 times better than the best HD radar on the market. And then also that field of view. So yeah, you have the distance, you have the resolution, but can you really see all around the vehicle, which is important. You don't want to have any blind spots. So this is where it's our distinct advantage of providing that consistent performance across a wide field of view in both azimuth and vertical. So I think your question is on the application. Certainly a big application in automotive, but any machine that requires a radar sensor or a sensor period to see around itself, that's what we do. It could be robotics. Recently, we also won a couple of contracts in the drones area as well through the government grants. And the other thing, which I've not mentioned, it's less about object detection, seeing the world around it. It's more about telecommunication. So for these antennas, we have the ability to build out base stations, really data transfer. So really twofold: object detection, construction, passenger vehicle, commercial vehicle, drones, robotics. The other piece is on 5G wireless communication. So.
All right, well, we're coming to the end of this segment, and this is where we give you a chance to tell folks how they can reach out to you, website, email addresses, phone numbers, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, of course. My job as tell people as CEO of the company is really threefold. One of them is fundraising. The second one is business development, and the third is recruiting. So I think anybody who's interested in getting to know us more, check out our website at www.lunewave.com. My personal email is very simple, john@lunewave.com. And drop me a note for whatever reason, staying connected, learn a little bit more about industry or the radar technology. Be happy to connect.